Hello everyone, welcome. My name is Cubus and this is It Patched, the show where I test if the developers support their games after the initial day one patch and see how it stacks up after a few months if they had the chance to support it any further. And oh boy, do I have a treat for you today. Today I am reviewing for you Just Cause 3 from Square Enix and Avalanche Studios. To start things off, let's talk about the design of the game. So the main gameplay is that you come to this island of Medici, which is the home country of the main protagonist, Rico Rodriguez, and you want to liberate it from the tyranny of the dictatorship of the General Di. So you come to this place and you have to liberate it, as I said, and you do it just like you do it, for example, in Far Cry 4 or Far Cry 3. You just go from the base to base or settlement to settlement and blow the shit fuck up all over the place, because obviously that's how the revolution starts. And basically this game is about the revolution. But having that said, the world, it's a quite big archipelago containing a few big islands and a few smaller ones, and it's split into provinces that you have to liberate, but by liberating all the settlements and military bases. It's all great because the cities look like taken straight off from the Mediterranean countries like, I don't know, Italy or Monaco. And they are very pretty designed, like small towns you can see right there. But what I didn't like in later parts of the game, it sort of forgets about those towns, and the new provinces that you need to liberate doesn't really have the settlements at all, or cities or towns. It only has the military bases or things like that. I don't want to spoil it for you here, but you have a feeling that suddenly a lot of this country is just filled with military bases, which I don't like because it breaks the feeling of the game. But okay, let's have it slided, so let's move on to another thing. As I said, the world is absolutely massive, and to cover all that ground you need some other ways to transport yourself around without using just walking for you. So the producers of the game gave you a few basics like you would normally get on every other game with an open world. So you get the vehicles, obviously, but also you get a tether, a parachute and a wingsuit, which means that you can travel at quite good speeds, quite high speeds, even if you don't have any vehicles or roads nearby. And truth be told, I really love the mechanics, especially of the wingsuit, because it feels very responsive, it feels very polished, and it gives you a very remarkable feeling when it actually works, when you know that you have been training quite a lot to perfect this way of transportation. And it's really rewarding, especially when you are doing challenges and you score them perfectly. That is what I really enjoyed about traversing in this world. But it's not all so beautiful. The parachute is pretty okay, but it's a parachute, it's not as difficult to do as the wingsuit was. And the worst thing is, all of the vehicles are terrible. There are some that are pretty good and are sort of useful. I mean, the boats are pretty good and the planes are pretty good. But then there are the very bad ones, like cars and the helicopters, which are really hard to get hang of. And then there are motorcycles. Oh man, the motorcycles are the worst. They are complete lottery when you drive one of them, and I have no idea how the hell did they do that. I mean, okay, I understand there's a lot of things to do like in a game like this, but take an example. Take a look on Grand Theft Auto 5, which had everything precisely done as it had to be. It was a little more simulator in some terms of driving. I understand that Avalanche was going for arcade style, but you can do an arcade style driving fun. Many games have proven that, like a lot of Need for Speed series entries. But they screwed it up. The motorcycles are actually useless in this game. You get on one and you crash immediately, and the thing gets worse because then into play comes the camera work, which is absolutely terrible. I have no idea. Did they even have any beta tests in there? How the hell did it go through with this? I can't even describe how bad the camera work is until you have played this game. And I had no such problems in any open world game I've played, I think, ever. All the Grand Theft Autos, okay, they might have had some slight issues. I understand when you have a big open world game that is a third person, not an first person shooter. There are places for mistakes. Okay, I get it. And I would be completely fine with some little mistakes, but camera is constantly working against you as the player. And it's not only in the vehicles, it's also when you need to aim, because okay, aiming is that bad, but it needs a little getting used to, especially on a gamepad. I've been playing quite a lot of games on gamepad because I've owned consoles for last, I think, 8 years, and I've got used to shooting with gamepad, but this one is somewhat different. It's also hard to tell by words what's going on, but I believe it would be much better in this scenario to have a mouse and the mouse pad on your right hand and the keyboard on the left than to use the gamepad as it is. And also, what I would like to talk about, the last round I think in the design department, is that the game should be helping you sometimes with the movement, because I found myself quite a lot that okay, I want to take down the chopper that's shooting on me, and so I tether up to it and I'm hanging below it. I have already chosen to have sticky bombs equipped while I was tethering to this helicopter. Okay, so it didn't change while I was reeling in. I have no idea why, because it should automatically choose the weapon that I have chosen a few seconds ago, and it didn't. So I stand there, hanging on this helicopter, enemies shooting from all around, and I have to press again to select the sticky bombs, and then Rico doesn't really plant them as I would like him to. He just stands. So I press once to do it. No response. I press second time. No response. I press third time. No response. And sometimes it took 4 or 5 presses of the button for him to plant this stupid bomb. And that was really, really annoying. So at that time you could have been shot really badly, which would resolve with a loading screen, about which I will talk later. But what I want to say is the game should be use something like an aimbot, but for traversing and planting the explosives, because I had very often the thing that when I tethered to something, rolled into it, and then Rico, a lot of times he stuck to this place, and a lot of times he didn't. He just fell off for no apparent reason, and it was breaking the immersion in the game, and it was very annoying because I couldn't do really what I should be able to do with what I've learned by the game's design. So This should have been ironed out, and I think that would work for it. A little like an aimbot, but for going to the surfaces and planting the bombs. That would really, really help the game. And one last thing I want to tell about this game is the story, because you may know that this isn't something that is very, very serious about, saving the world or doing stuff like this. No, it's a trivial story that is just an excuse to wreak havoc around the island. Okay, I get it, and I don't mind it. And what is even better is that the scriptwriters took the liberty and thought, okay, it's not a very serious story, so make it look half believable. So they have created a few characters that get along through all the game, and the characters have their highs and lows. They have their own personalities. There you have some backstories even, and all the events in the game do cause another event. So it's not that the scriptwriters have devised that, in this level we're going to do thing A, and in the second level we will do the thing B, but we don't need to connect those dots between. They didn't do that here. There's an action and there's a reaction, so the story is really well composited together, and I really like this about the Just Cause 3. So to sum it up, the design of the game, I would rate it at 6 points. No, I think it's too generous. I think 5 points is a good for this game, because all the physics of the vehicles and camera work and all these issues that I've talked to you, they are really, really annoying, and that's why I can't give it more than 5 points. It's still a very fun game, but it needs much more polish in the game, in the terms of the whole controls. If that wasn't a thing, I would score like 8 or 9. I would rate the game on 8 or 9 in design, but it really ruins the experience. So there you go. The design for me, 5 out of 10. Okay, so it's time now to talk about the technicalities of Just Cause 3. As you know, I usually play games on PlayStation 4 because that's the only gaming machine that I actually own right now. So, let's talk about the performance and all the technical stuff. What is impressive about this game is the draw distance. It's absolutely incredible. You can see miles away with a lot of details. I checked it and I was seeing like big objects on the map sending 3-4 kilometers away. I mean, at least that's what the game's radar was telling me, that's the distance. It's really, really far distance, and I could see all the details that I would normally see in such a distance, so it is really impressive. Another impressive thing is that there are no loading screens when you are traveling along the whole world, so you can jump into the airplane and just go all the way across the map, and you will see no buffering, no loading screen, nothing. That is impressive as well. And also, I would like to mention that the visual effects are really great. I've been watching a few videos about the technical side of this game to determine a thing or two, and I saw the comparison of Digital Foundry. I will link it below, and they figured out that the Just Cause 3 on PlayStation 4 is almost as good as the max settings on PC. There are a little lower quality shadows or 1 or 2 missing effects, but it almost is representative of the max settings on PC, and that is really impressive. But there is a very, very big but. In the elephant in the room is enormous. It's twice the size of the room, because the game was pushed so hard on the hardware. It's in 1080p natively, and it runs terribly. I mean, it aims for 30 frames per second, and I would be really glad if it hit it for most of the times. I know it's an open world game that's focused on action, so I could understand a dip or two during the gameplay. No issues with that. But instead of getting some drops while playing the game, I had drops all the time. For the most of the time, the game runs like crap. I won't use another word because that's what it is. For the most of the time, I was feeling like it was running on 20, 15 frames per second, or sometimes I think even lower. Another tech analysis from Digital Foundry has been checking that out, so I will leave exact numbers to the people that have resources to check them, and I will also link them in the description below. But this is absurd how bad this game works on the PlayStation 4, and I believe it's the same on Xbox One as far as I could tell. So the performance is mind-blowingly bad. It's that bad that after playing for an hour or two, your eyes actually hurt. If the game wasn't fun enough, I think I would struggle to finish it, but I did manage somehow to finish it, maybe because it was quite short in terms of the whole campaign, and it was prolonged only by liberating all the outposts, but it was really painful sometimes to play this game. And when I was finishing, I was feeling a little dizzy even. That's how bad the performance is. And I could even understand some drops on the main gameplay when I'm wreaking havoc, shooting missiles on the fuel tanks and things like that. Okay, that is understandable that it can drop a few frames, but I was even experiencing the frame drops in small cutscenes when there are like 2 or 3 characters talking one to another, and with no explosions whatsoever, and in a very tight environment with no background to render behind it. So this is really, really bad. It was so bad that the sound was usually desynchronized in the cutscenes, and then even sometimes while playing the game, the sound was missing. I mean, not all the sound, but the sound, for example, of using the machine gun on my helicopter. So that was really, really terrible. And the last thing I really didn't like about the technical side of this game was the loading times, which are extremely long. Even if, for example, you have a challenge in some closed location, and you decide, no, it didn't go so well, I will repeat it. So the game takes sometimes a minute or even longer to load. The same, cut out piece of the terrain and assets that it knows that you've been using just a few seconds ago. So I have no idea how in the name of the Lord that is possible. And I've even checked the log on the patch notes, the changelog, and they have been addressing this issue some time ago in, I believe, patch 1.03, and how terrible it had to be before that. The loading screens are so long that they have probably burned out on my LCD TV. So this is really terrible. I've checked a few videos on the internet, and it seems that on a quite mediocre PC with an Core i5 and GTX 960, the game runs quite stable, above 30 FPS, usually hitting 60 at 1080p and settings maxed out. But on the other hand, I think this is bad optimization for the console, because I've seen the PlayStation 4 perform much better compared to the PCs when it goes for the games, and this is absolutely unacceptable. This game is in a worse state, I think, than Assassin's Creed Unity, because Assassin's Creed Unity at least didn't crash for me. And while going through the Just Cause 3, I had a crash that once brought me back to the dashboard, and another one that have completely frozen my game console. So I had to turn off all the electricity that was going to it to make it alive again. So this is really, really bad, and that's why I'm scoring the technicalities of this game on only 1 point, and that's because I don't do 0, because I think it deserves 0. But okay, let it have the 1 point. For that I could actually accomplish everything I wanted and finish the game. So okay, let's slide with 1 point out of 10 for technicalities. And last but not least, we come to the business side of the game. So obviously, as every other game that's on the market right now, you get a season pass and the DLCs and things like this. And I really don't like it. So there's not much I can say about it, apart that it's ridiculously expensive right now. I've checked the price for the season pass on PlayStation Store, and it was 4% higher than I paid for the used game a week ago. So I wouldn't bother with the season pass, because the content that you get inside of the game itself is quite sufficient as for me, and especially on the consoles, it's not worth to put any penny back into the Square Enix and Avalanche Studios pocket, because they don't deserve it. For the quality of the game. As I said, there's quite a lot of the content inside of the game. The map is ridiculously big, there is quite a lot of missions to do, a lot of challenges in which you can have the leaderboards that you compete with your friends on the best score and things like that. There's a lot of collectibles, I don't know if I mentioned that before. And the only thing that I really found missing inside of this game was music. It's the first time, I believe, since I got the PlayStation 4, that was over 2.5 years ago, that I used background music to have something to listen. They could have taken this chance, they could have embraced it and provide some extraordinary, ridiculous soundtrack, like the 80s Italian pop songs or something like this. Go crazy with it. The game doesn't feel about itself very serious, so why don't push it a little further, just like the Wolfenstein, the New Order did. They did amazing job with this. They had an idea and went mad with it, and they made with it in such case that I still listen to the soundtrack, which is the overhauled English songs that were made into German. The House of the Rising sound is absolutely fantastic from that game, and I still listen to it until this day, 2 years later. And that's the thing I remember most. So if there was a DLC with some radio stations or something like this for this game, I would buy it, I think. But right now the season pass is probably some cutout content that was even prepared before the game's release, and I wouldn't bother with it. And for that all, I think the 6 points out of 10 is fair for this game, because as every other game, it used the season pass. It has quite a lot of content, but not enough to be an 8 or 9 as the GTA 5 was for me. So the 6 out of 10 is my score for the business model of the Just Cause 3. So that's it. The total score is just 12 points out of 30. for this game. This is the lowest score I've ever given to any game before. Even the Assassin's Creed Unity got 13 points, and that is saying a lot, I think, about this game, because the Assassin's Creed Unity was taking back the design of the game. I believe it was so, and this time it's completely ridiculously bad when it comes to the design and the design of the controls of the game itself, the missing music, which was pretty, disappointing, and the technical issues are completely out of this world. I believe on Medicore PC it's still worth buying because you don't get so many technical issues, especially the frame rate isn't the issue as it is on the consoles. So if you have a decent gaming PC, I would say grab it on some Steam sale or something like this for 15 or 20 bucks. You will not be disappointed by this game. But on PlayStation 4 or even Xbox One, no, don't get this game until you want to just buy it for 10 bucks used and then after a week or so sell it for 10 bucks used without losing any money on it. Apart from that, it's not worth your while. So the total score, as I said, 12 points out of 30. Please avoid this game and spread the word that this is a really bad port to consoles. Okay, that's all for today. Please tell me what you think about my channel in the comments below. Please click this like button if you like what I do. Please click dislike button if you didn't like what I do. And please hit this subscribe button because it really boosts my confidence and it really pushes me along, gives me power to do more of these reviews, which I do only for you. I don't have anything out of it. I'm not sponsored or anything, so please support me at least in this way. Have a nice day then. See you later. Bye.